Good afternoon, everybody. Today it is March 27th in the year 2023. And I got a little thing. I got a little thing that some of you guys might actually be fairly interested in. It's called Land. It's called The Secret of Pretoria. It's what I sometimes will refer to as Pretoria's Secret. This sexy new piece of code is going to be live on the Mav test server starting tomorrow, or at least if all things go according to plan, it's going to be live on the test server tomorrow. And frankly, I think it looks quite nice, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. Excited to show you guys what we've been working on, and to roll out this beast of an update. But that's not the only thing that we have going on. It's always a packed experience trying to run this thing. I was out in GDC personally. I was out in California just last week and hobnobbing with venture capitalists and Fortune 100 companies and trying to showcase what we do and see if there aren't some partnerships to make. Walking out of there with a couple like pretty amazing phone calls, and we'll see what happens with them. But that's the kind of stuff that I've personally been doing. And we have a whole bunch of different things that are going to be happening today. And just trying to walk you guys through what should be, a really amazing like breakthrough for, the growth of the game, the growth of the utility of tokens, and all the different types of pieces that we're here to bring to you. So let's go do a quick team stand up. We'll let everybody kind of talk about what they're here to talk about and what they're excited to share. I can see Farpetrad and Nate and Weirdbeard and Investigator and Chatter. So why don't we just kind of go in order from top left to bottom right? And Farpetrad, why don't you kick us off and tell us what you're gonna talk about today?
Yeah, I'm here to talk about land, specifically surveying, and to show you guys what's coming up.
Awesome. Nate?
I'll probably just follow up with whatever's discussed earlier, probably land stuff as well.
Awesome. Weirdbeard, what's going on?
Non-land stuff, behind the scenes developments, and I'll let other people talk about land, but I want to talk about not land.
All right, that's good. Land and not land. The lines are being formed. Investigator, what do you think we can expect from you in this here town hall?
Well, I believe I'm on the non-land team this week. So I'll be talking about the update that is coming out tomorrow and what's going out. Maybe a little bit about what's coming out in the near future.
Sweet. And then Chatter, you're going to be kicking us off here in just a second, but what are you discussing?
Also team non-land for me, but it'll mainly be marketing partnerships from my side.
Sweet. All right. Well, that kind of gives you a little bit of the heads up here. We do have a special guest tonight. It's a gentleman by the name of Thomas who comes from a company called Wasder, and Chatter is going to fill us in some on that. Why don't we head over to a marketing update and Chatter can kind of debrief us. Chatter, it's been a little while since you've been on the town hall. What have you been doing? Where have you gone? Are you healthy and well? Do you still work here? Like what's happening?
Yeah, there's been lots of stuff going on behind the scenes. Hilariously, I did actually have the flu for 2 weeks there, so I was a little bit under the weather. But from the most part, from my side, it's just kind of being head down, working, getting everything prepped for everything that we've been doing. So, I mean, land kicking off for Splinterlands, GLG on the kind of Genesis League goals and Genesis League sports side of things, trying to get beta and everything prepped on that side of things. Soulkeep just came out with the beta there. So if you want to play the beta, make sure you have your 500 Nightmare packs to be playing that. But realistically, it's just being kind of getting ready to go around all these big launches and also starting to prep for what is a hopeful kind of bull run coming out of what is going in and on in the global kind of political and economic world right now. So it's been a lot of prep. It's been a lot of kind of behind the scenes work, but really excited for the next couple kind of weeks and months here.
Yeah, I'm stoked for said bull run. I hope that we are in it. I hope that it's a strong one. I personally would not have bet that it would be the like death spiral of the banks that would set it off. Our last bull runs, I don't feel like we're quite as doom and gloomy on the fiat side, but It seems like there's some turmoil in it, and there's a chance that it will significantly benefit crypto. That's not meant as financial advice, just musing and entertainment, as the show is just here for musing and entertainment. All right. So that's a little bit of the backdrop. I guess more specifically, I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're well. I'm glad you still work here and glad you're still doing stuff. You know, what are some of the things that are happening in marketing? Like, you know, certainly with like we just weren't picking up a lot of players during like the FTX debacle, right? Like, is the game growing? How is it going to grow? How do we get more people in here? How do we retain the ones that are already here? What's all this starting to look like, or how are you viewing the landscape these days?
Yeah, so I mean, everything needs to be looked at as far as a retention as well as an acquisition standpoint goes. I think thankfully we've seen Weirdbeard step in massively on the retention side of things, really kind of acting as the voice of the player for us. So a lot of what he's doing right now is, hey, how do we get game modes that the players want? How do we make sure that we're updating all the quality of life? How do we make sure that we're getting out all the updates in a timely manner that are going to be in accordance with the voice of the community here? So I think from the retention standpoint, just making sure that we have a close ear to the ground and making sure that we're really doing things that you guys are excited for and that you guys want is going to be huge for that. But on the acquisition side of things, we've seen a pretty dismal kind of start to the year as far as players just coming into the Web3 and GameFi vertical from a holistic standpoint, not just for Splinterlands, but just looking at all the different kind of charting metrics that we've been trying to measure across the board, just in the Web3 vertical between a whole bunch of different companies, it's been a pretty low entry point. And so rather what we're trying to do is, one, gather as many people from each other's ecosystems as we possibly can. But two, we also need to start looking at how do we bring in these Web2 users? How do we start really bringing people into the ecosystem instead of just trying to poach people once they enter? And part of why Thomas is on, who's the CEO of Wasder, is really going to be helping convert a lot of those Web2 users to Splinterlands. So quick little marketing update, I guess, for us. A few partnerships that we've kind of had and are sorting out right now. Mana Games, we just partnered with them. They're going to be doing a whole bunch of marketing promotion, both on their website as well as their socials. Exodus Wallet, we are planning a bigger partnership with them, but in the meantime, they're going to be listing us in their curation and DApp store. Legends of Elysium, been doing a whole bunch of kind of social work with them, AMAs, promotions, so on and so forth there. Metaverse Go, we're hosting tournaments with right now, more social promotions and whatnot. Mize's browser, same thing. DApp store integration is going to be coming fairly soon. We're also going to be planning a whole bunch of social promotions with them and their millions of users that they have right now. But most importantly, Wasder is here on the call with us. I will pass it over to Thomas for us, and we are going to be kicking off a massive partnership with them on Wednesday and really kicking off a whole season of Splinterlands with them.
All right, that's a great. How much more of a warm lead would you like than that, Thomas? Do we cover all the things? What would you like to share?
No, I think that was as good as an intro as it can possibly get. I'm super happy to be here, and I'm excited to work with Splinterlands. I mean, you guys are the OGs. You're one of the first, one of the best, one of the ones that actually successfully made Web3 gaming a thing. So this was fun for us. This was one of those, yes, we want to do this without a shadow of a doubt. So I'm super excited. Obviously what we do, I mean, I think it's interesting when you say, I mean, bridging those Web 2 players into Web 3. For us, games are games, and games are meant to be fun, and that's kind of what we've built. And what we see is that there's a lot of really good games that simply doesn't get seen enough by players, just because in the traditional gaming space, as you guys probably know, I mean, to stand out is really tricky, because these traditional platforms, they kind of monetize, or they kind of hog these one big titles, and then that's what they show, right? So we try to do it the other way around and find really interesting games. I mean, the core value proposition of Wasder is basically come to us and discover games, come to us to do, and then discover players to talk about those games with, to play those games with, and discover our partners. And
So
Splinterlands
yeah,
is one of those.
help me understand that. So Wasder's like a social media platform, right? Like it's like a social media platform for gamers about games. Is that an accurate description, or how would you edit that?
I'd say it's a cutting edge social social application on steroids. Think of it if all of the traditional platforms that you would typically use had a baby together and in a non-weird way, and made one platform. So if you
Is
think
Elon
about
involved? Did Elon father this too? He has a lot of children out there.
Well, I actually think Elon's done a lot of good stuff, but no, he didn't father this one. So think of it, if you think about the gaming journey that you go through as a player, right? So what happens is you discover a game, then you do some research about that game, then you go watch some clips about that game, and then you want to actually, go to a store and pick that game up, and then you want to find people to play that game with, then you want to communicate with those people, then you want to maybe look for some tips and tricks on how to get better at that game. All of this usually happens in different places, right? So as a player, you need to use 1,000 different things. That journey, what we call a player journey, which repeats for every game you ever play, we built one social application where you can do that journey in a seamless way. So it's basically the entire gaming journey, but in a way where we hold your hand a little bit and make it accessible and connect you with people and interesting, fun things.
So what does that have to do with Splinterlands? Like how is Splinterlands gonna fit in, or how are gamers, like if they're a listener and they don't know what Wasder is, or if you're at Wasder already and you don't know what Splinterlands is, what does that start looking like?
Yeah, so what we do is, because we're players, right? So at the very end, at the very ground level, every single user of Wasder is a player. We love games and we like games. So what we do is we do basically a seasonal battle pass. If you want to call it a battle pass, we call it a battle pass. But basically we do a several week long season where we display fun games. So for the season that's coming up now, which is season 13, it's going to be Splinterlands. And that means that every single solitary day, everybody in the platform, the more friends you make, the more you engage with content, the more you talk about your favorite game, which I'm hoping to God is going to be lots and lots and lots of Splinterlands people coming in and telling us why they love Splinterlands. The more people see that, the more experience you get, the more you climb that season ladder. And as a consequence, you get rewards. You get cool rewards that you can use to express yourself, that you can use to engage with others. And then you get to the leaderboards where there's even more stuff that you can pick up and get. So basically it's a Splinterland takeover for everything that happens and everything that people see for the next couple of weeks, which makes people really put an eye on Splinterlands as a game, and the people who come from Splinterlands and the community around Splinterlands, which is fun for us.
How many users does your platform have now? Is it just the three of us on here, or is there a broader number of people that are part of this?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the three of us, plus about 520,000 other people every month. So just over 500,000 monthly active users. Everywhere in between 13 to 26 is the prime. Like the main audience, about 60% of the audience sits between 17 and 26. And then we have a little bit of about 15 to 20% that are below that, and then a little bit that is above that as well. But the core audience is right in that Gen Z audience where I get to learn every day that for them, it's funny because when I was young, which I hope to God to an extent I still am, but if you look at my generation, we were gamers, right? Gen Zers, it's lifestyle for them. Games are everywhere. Music, movies, clothes, sports, education, social connections. So it's really interesting to see games through their lens and through their eyes and see how they engage with it. And that's, yeah, it's very, very educational for me and fun.
Now Dave McCoy is asking in chat here. He's one of the folks that got elected into the leadership council, so I figure I'll drive his question here directly. Mm-hmm. So we have a third-party application which is known as Nifty Arcade, and Nifty Arcade is a tool that allows people to go basically borrow an entire deck and not have to pay anything out of pocket to do that. And it seems to be a really great onboarding tool because, like, when you start novice, you know, all the accounts are really weak and you do okay, but then as soon as you get in the bronze, you start encountering stronger cards than what you have, and so it feels a little bit like clubbing baby seals, right? And if you're the baby seal, you're like, hey, this isn't fun. Why do I want to do this? But if you start with some cards that are actually pretty decent, especially for the level that you're at and the you know, the beginning of your journey, a lot of players have a much better experience and they start winning battles, and they realize that the game is fun, especially when, you know, you don't have to win it all the time, but, you know, having a bunch of W's at the end of a day is more fun than not. Are you looped into that? Is this part of the campaign? If it's not part of the campaign, is it too late to build it in? Like, did Nifty Arcade make it onto your radar?
So Nifty Arcade did not make it onto the radar right about like from where we are now. But that being said, and the entire, even though in the eyes of a player, what we are is a social application, realistically, when I talked about that gaming journey that I talked about, we build to an extent as an infrastructure for the entirety of the industry. So we actually really want to have partners like Nifty Arcade, because for every game that we work with, there are different solutions that make that specific game experience better. And instead of having to use Google to find 1,000 different partners, when we build up, so Splinterlands, for example, is getting a very unique, their own game area, their own game space inside of Wasder, right? Where you'll be able to find at least the basics of what you need for Splinterlands when you're a new consumer or a new player just figuring out about it. Over time, I want to bring in partners like Nifty Arcade for definitely for Splinterlands, but for every game that we have, so that in those areas, for example, in the Splinterlands space, that the consumer can find that solution and find that. So we become it really comes back to what we talked about, or what I mentioned earlier with discovery. So I want players to be able to discover the best solutions for the games that they're interested in. And this is a perfect example of one of those solutions that I want them to find for Splinterlands. I mean, so integrations like that over time is perfect.
In Web 2, you don't have this stuff, right? Like, the closest thing I can think of is, you know, when I play League of Legends and I want to know who's a good counter to a certain character, you know, I can go Google that and there's some forums. But there's not typically like full-on businesses that I know of that are, you know, built within the League of Legends ecosystem. And here, because everything is open source and because other people can participate, and there's tools for how you can, you know, allow certain accounts to access your keys, or to you know, rent these decks and do all these pieces. You know, we literally have businesses built within our business to go help service these clients. And I think that's kind of a unique feature of Web3 that I was not, you know, the day that I was like, you know, Matt said to me, hey, we should build a game. And I said, yes, I'm a game designer. Let's do it. There wasn't, the next thought was not, we will build businesses within it. You know, I've had this philosophy of, if we can help other people make money in our ecosystem, we'll make money too. But, you know, I didn't have businesses in mind when I first started working in this, but it became more and more clear that, you know, you can really get third parties to build tools and build things that we can't spend time on, or that do things better than us because they can focus on it. So that's like a pretty unique and rich feature of Web3 from what I can tell.
I agree with I agree 100%. But if you remember Facebook, I don't know, 10 years ago now, when you could build apps within Facebook, so you could put apps within Facebook, or smaller applications, smaller solutions were plugins to Facebook. It's a little bit same mentality, but they went away from that because they also dominated and controlled and owned all of, like, basically everything around it, while Web3 does the opposite way around, right? So what we want to do is exactly that, because when you mentioned League of Legends, there are these forums that you have, for example, Mobile Fire, where you can find tutorials and guides, etc. But then there are also other applications like, here's where you can find tutors, here's where you can find places to trade the skins. Like, it does exist for a lot of games, but they're so scattered that it's almost impossible for you as a player to find it. It's a little. Hey, I'm guessing everyone here watches movies, right? But you've all seen these movies when there's a camera and it zooms on top of a person, and then it zooms out and you see the street, and it zooms out and you see the country, and it zooms out and you see the planet. The gaming industry, as it grows, that's what's happening to us as consumers, right? So it becomes very hard to navigate and find the right things for you. So what I want to do is, my hope is that in the next 6 months or the next year, every single solution or application or thing that makes your experience playing Splinterlands better, whether that's, you know, a solution that does what Nifty Arcade does or something else, and tutorials or whatever it is, that we can find and kind of pull all these, the awareness of all of this into the Splinterlands space on Wasder, so that if you're a player, you just go, okay, I know I want to play Splinterlands, but there's something missing from my gameplay. You can go to that space and look at, for example, okay, what are the different applications that I can use to get better at this? Oh, it's this, click, boom, and then it takes you there. And then you go back and like, okay, I'm going to find someone to play with now. Click, then I click that button. We basically just compile all this inside that space, and then we do that for all games, both Web 2 and Web 3.
Cheddar, you've been a little quiet. Anything you want to share about why you think this is going to be a really good partnership for the Splinterlands community? What do you hope that we get out of it? What do you expect that we'll get out of it?
For sure. A couple different things. I mean, I think one, it opens up a completely new vertical, similar to what I was saying, where we aren't necessarily cashing in on a ton of Web 2 users right now. It's a hard in between to really connect. A lot of people who are on the League of Legends, that are on the CSGO and Dota and every else, like other game there, they don't want to necessarily just jump to Web3. Crypto, NFTs, not a lot of their kind of motivating force right now. And so for them, it's a lot of entertainment based. And right now, when you look at entertainment, you think, oh, hey, what's the next Call of Duty? What's the next kind of League of Legends title, and everything else going to be? And this is a really great organic way for us to usher in, hey, here's Splinterlands, this really fun, awesome digital card game and an auto battler. And for those people who like Hearthstone, we can go to the Hearthstone group and say, hey, look, like here's Splinterlands, and vice versa for everything else too. So I think it'll be a great way to open us up to kind of new verticals, similar to what we're seeing in GLG with how we're trying to bring people in on the soccer front and then cross promote Splinterlands too. But moreover, they actually have history in converting these people. And I know Thomas isn't boasting, but I'll do a little bit of boasting for him, where there's been 2 separate games that have had pretty much no users, and both being Web3 based. They've helped grow both of them in the 5-figure range of users within months. So not only do they have the app that has 500,000 monthly active users, they also have a proven track record of actually converting these people to be Web3 players who were before just Web 2 users. So I think it's a really great fit. And I know there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we kind of want to do together in the future. So it's really just the first stepping stone of a huge boulder that's going to start rolling here.
And I also want to add in, it's funny because you're like, well, we can go to the Heartland group. I would go as far as to say that I don't, part of the reason is that there's a lot of people players who don't actually know what card games are. Like it's a very interesting dynamic, because what the Gen Z audience sees is all these big titles, but they don't really see there's a lot of great games and categories of games like Splinterlands who just never get seen. And it's a little bit about putting what happens to them when you actually start exposing them to different type of games, stuff they haven't seen before, and that looks different, feels different, is easy to pick up, and they can go explore something new that they haven't been exposed to for like 5 hours a day, every single day for the last 3 years. And every social platform they go to here is new and fresh and interesting. And players actually seem to really, really enjoy that. And to just be able to talk about the game and ask questions about the game. What does this card do? And what does that card do? And what does that hero do? And what is land? I mean, most of these people have never actually, because when a traditional player hears about a Web3 game, what they hear about is NFTs. They hear about crypto. They hear about the token, what the blockchain does, which layer it is, stuff that is completely irrelevant for them. No one actually sits down with the players and says, here's what land is in a game. Here's what the concept of a card is in a game. And funnily enough, when you start talking about the game aspects to them, they seem to really, really enjoy that. Because I mean, all of us are from the gaming space. I mean, we talked about Star Wars Galaxies amongst others previously here. Like, anyone who's been in the gaming space for more than like 3 hours knows that game developers really don't talk to the players, like traditionally don't. Like, we're starved for attention, and Web3 games tend to care more about their audiences than what we're used to.
So I'm gonna do a little bit of an alpha here. Forgive me, chatter, but one of the things that we're working on, and I had a little opportunity to go talk about this at GDC, was about sort of a futuristic platform for games. And it turns out, as we were building the Genesis League goals ecosystem, we started tooling around with writing an SDK. And it turns out that the SDK that we have can interoperate with Unity games. So one of the things that I'm hoping to do, and I think that this is a good context to sort of talk about this, is that we'd like to be able to take any browser-based Web 2 game and port them into our ecosystem. Because kind of like what you're saying, a lot of them are like, here's the tokenomics, but they don't really talk about the game. Because oftentimes these games are nothing more than like a graphical user interface to like a white paper, and they're not fun. They're not designed to be fun. They're pretty or they're colorful, but they're not actual games. And where I think we're going is trying to make it so that any Web 2 game built in standard Web 2 interfaces, like Godot or like Unreal Engine or like Unity, will have the ability to come into this space. So that's something that I think we're going to have to talk more about in the coming weeks as it comes more into fruition. But that's a project that we're going to build a whole arcade. It's using a lot of tech that we've already built, so it's not like a major deviation from the goals ecosystem. We had to go build this SDK, and it turned out we can use it with Unity, and there's a lot that we can do with that. So I think as you're talking about, hey, here are platforms, here's blockchains, here's this, here's that, I want to be talking about what you're describing of like, here's a game, here's how it's fun, here's what you do, these are the different parts of it, and oh, by the way, you have ownership, and oh, by the way, here's the tokenomics. But the front and center is, we are not a blockchain company that makes games. We are a gaming company that integrates blockchain. And I think if we put the emphasis that way and continue to put the emphasis that way, it should be awesome.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's about making good products and making good games and using blockchain technology in order to make the best possible user experience there is. It's exactly how it is. And it's funny because when you describe what you want to do, I'm like, that's amazing. Now you do that and I'll bring you the people. And we can make people talk about it. When people talk about it, even more people will see it, and we get this viral effect where there's just so many synergies between all the different stakeholders that everything becomes enjoyable and fun, and we can focus on building good stuff rather than having to try to fight with everybody around us to like this elbowing to make space, rather than just like, okay, let's focus on building the good gaming experiences, and I'll make sure that there's a good experience trying to discover it and talk about it.
Rock on. Anything else that either of you would care to add in this segment before we bring it to a close here?
Yeah, come to Wasder on download Wasder on your phones and come talk about Splinterlands on Wednesday.
And I'll add the people who are talking on the app about it. I'm going to be giving out packs at random for the next week for people who are posting, commenting, just participating in the ecosystem there. Nothing you have to do. Just make sure you leave your in-game name when you do kind of post or leave a comment or anything. And you may just happen to log in and see an extra pack in your inventory.
And if you manage to beat some of the super fans that we have when getting on XP on the leaderboard, so by the end of the season, I will be mightily surprised. because there are some people who do not shut up about the games that are partners.
Nice. All right. Well, Thomas from Wasder, thanks for being here. Thanks for talking about your platform. Thanks for integrating Splinterlands into it. And let's go share some users and share some experience about what Splinterlands is and what we do and why it's fun and all these different pieces that are coming. Thanks so much.
It's such a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you guys for letting me be here.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think it's time we go do the things that everybody has been dying for. Land, our Secret of Praetoria expansion is going to go live live on the Mav server. It's on the test server. So we're doing one last round of bug fixes and tweaks and getting some user experience, and that's all going to happen. And it sounds like we're kind of ready to rumble. Neil, can you walk me through it? Can you tell me what's going on here?
Yeah, so we're very close. We just want to get some feedback from users, so we decided to do a MAV release before we go out to production. What you can see here on my screen is the updated map of Pretoria. This is kind of why we disabled redeems today, is because we don't want someone to claim into 61 and then all of a sudden find that their region is now 80. So until we can release this map to production, we paused redeems. This will all be turned back on. But this is what the new map and territories now look like. And you can see that some of this has changed. These used to be the 60s, and they're now renumbered, right? So this changes this. You can see as well, like, this is the surveying build. There's some new things here that you haven't seen. This is a placeholder image until I actually get the proper artwork. But this is actually my grain and time crystal balance from doing surveys. So if you purchase these boosters while you do the surveying, you should start seeing balance show here for these things, which is really exciting. So I know what everyone probably wants to see, though, is some actual surveying.
Yeah. That's 100% right. So we can survey. Farpetrad, what's that look like? How many plots can I survey at once? And kind of tell me about this experience.
Yeah, so surveying is limited to 100 plots due to the custom JSON size. It just becomes a very costly operation to publish, as well as just cuts off. So we're limiting everything to 100, which is the size of a tract. If you do survey 100 plots, and it doesn't have to be a single tract, it could just be 100 plots, there are some guaranteed minimums that you will receive, including 1 legendary, 4 epics, and 20 rare plots. So if you're a big landholder, you're going to want to do your surveys in these big batches of 100.
But hold on, wasn't it also magical and occupied?
That get
and
there's also guaranteed for those as well. I believe it's 3 occupied and 12 magical.
But if I only survey 1 at a time, I don't get those benefits.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, so I'm definitely going to go do this at the 100 level. Can I exceed the minimum? So, like, could I get 15 magical plots in a tract, or when you say it's guaranteed, does it mean I'll get exactly the 12?
No, so you can get way more than the minimum. It all just comes down to RNG luck. A lot of people seem to get that really good luck, and will definitely hit more than that. But if you aren't that lucky, this is just a guarantee that you'll, no matter what, have those with 100 plots. But you can hit the jackpot and go over.
Okay. Well, let's do the thing. Let's see what this thing looks like.
So I'm going to come in here and uncheck this so you guys can just see. But right now, there's a bunch of just unsurveyed plots. If I click on surveyed, this messaging will change, but I will have to go into a different tract where I've actually done some surveying already. But you can see that the UI here will definitely show you all the information about this. But let's get to the exciting part, and let's survey something I have not surveyed at all. So I'm going to do 100 plots for this tract.
And I can see the total plots in the top right, and it said 100, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
So-
this looks familiar. So these are like the starter kits.
Yeah, so here you can see we've added the ability to quickly just add the starter kits to all your plots. Or you can click through one by one and remove them or add them. So this way you can actually pick which of your plots are getting them if you don't have the deck or deck B to purchase for everything you're surveying. But I have enough here in QA, so I'm just going to go ahead and add everything. And you'll see that every single plot has these. Like I mentioned, you could click them off if you don't want it for that plot. This just gives you the option to do it. Now, I don't have any deck B.
Do you have real land? Do you have
Do I have-
land in the game?
Yes, I own 10 plots myself. I've
are you
only
gonna-
claimed one so far.
Are you gonna put the starter packages on them, or are you holding off? What are you personally thinking here?
So I actually picked up enough deck B to buy boosters for all my plots, and I plan on
Yeah.
getting all 3 of them for my 10.
Yeah, I got that for I got that for my region as well. So I'm gonna do it for the whole region. I just I want this stuff.
Yeah, and now that we basically updated the paper to say that you're also going to be getting some grain for the time vault, it really makes a lot of sense to get that, because now I'll have that grain as part of the time vault purchase instead of having to buy it for one deck each. So I'm getting a nice discount here.
Yeah. Get your deck B while supplies last. All right.
Yeah.
So is there like a little info bar somewhere that tells me what these different survey boosts do? Or do I have to link into the learn more? Oh, good.
Yeah, so there's a little icon here inside the images that if you hover over, it'll tell you what each one is doing and give you a little bit more information. I don't think we've updated it to say anything about the grain yet, but that will be updated as well.
And those images, those were picked because the community voted on them, right? Like we did a little mini vote and we accepted the ones that the players wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let's do the magic thing. Let's go. Let's confirm this little guy. So a little timer, a little window here, and then boom. So this looks like when I open a pack, right?
Yes. So this is basically just like packet opening, where you can click through these one by one. You can click reveal all to go through it, and it'll do the same kind of similar things with animation, sound effects, and you'll be able to, get that sense of excitement when you open these. I'm not going to click through them all. I'm going to hit just reveal all, so this way I don't misclick, but this will give you guys some excitement here.
Let's do it. I approve. As per chat. All right, so it looks like we've gotten a couple rares and epics in here.
Oh, here we go, legendary.
That's
Oh,
shaking.
mythic.
That was a mythic. So I have never heard mythic in terms of Splinterlands before. So good sir, what is a mythic in this case?
Yeah, so in this case, we decided that keeps and castles are just so rare that they really aren't legendary, so that they became mythical, because they're basically limited, right? There's going to be 150 keeps or 150 castles, and what is it, 1400 and something keeps. So they are the ultimate of rarity inside of the game. So creative decided that we would go with the mythic designation for them, and I'll scroll back up to that guy.
Can you so not just that one, but kind of before we get there, because it even looks like there's a little golden frame around that. Why don't we start with something easier? There's a couple tundras up in here. So first off, I actually on this particular screen that we're staring at, all 9 of those are tundra. So is that random, or is it more likely that these things are clustered together? What? Tell me about like because there's 14 different like land types, and I seem to be getting a clustering of them here. So is that normal? Is that what's going to happen? Am I going to get a nice spread of everything? Is it going to be concentrated in one type? What's this thing going to look like?
Yeah, so there is a probability table for each different type of biome, is what we're calling them, right? So there's 14 different ones, and each one of those has probabilities of generating different land types, where the main land type is always going to have a heavy preference, so that you do get these kind of natural clumpings of land types together, right? So you could here have a whole bunch of tundra and then just come up with a plains, for example, instead, right? And same with like a forest, there could be a lake in the middle of a forest because there's a clearing with a pond or lake. So everything's designed to give natural more clumpings of types, and then you'll randomly get different types inside of those to make it more of a natural feel for the land.
Okay. So in the top 3 tundras, I can see it looks like there's 2 icons that are in the middle of the top that look the same and one looks different. And then in the top left, it looks like 2 of them have kind of that Y pattern, the sideways Y, whereas this other one has something that looks a little like a thermometer to me. So what's the difference between the top left? It looks like the top left and the middle one are nearly identical, but the one in the top right is now different somehow.
Yeah, so this deed and this deed are both for common natural land. So this is basically the designation for that. And then if you look at this deed, it's actually a magical type. And you can see here it's telling you that it's earth magic. So the banner here designates that this is magic, but it also shows the little leaf emblem indicating that this is a earth magical deed.
And that's why I'm seeing all the little green pieces that are kind of sticking out above and beyond the normal tundra landscape.
yeah, so those would be the magical elements that are coming out on this deed.
So is that what rarity level plot is that?
So this one you can see here is actually a rare plot, and this is why it's got this little diamond here instead of the circle or half circle crescent, whatever you want to call it.
Can you scroll down a little bit and let's go try to find an epic?
Yeah.
And I see that I see the red that it sounds like you got another magical land, but that one is the fire element or fire splinter. Is that correct? The one in
Where
the
do you
middle
see
there.
that?
No, right. You're right on it.
Oh, this one?
the
No,
red-
this is occupied land.
Ooh, okay.
So this banner you can see is like kind of like a claw mark on the banner, and it's been ripped up from the occupied monsters. And you can see here on your plot there's several different types of monsters here.
And we call those fiends, right? Aren't
Yes,
they
fiends.
those are the fiends? All right. So the red claw marks in the top left are describing whether it's either your natural, your magical, or your occupied land. Now we're going to go keep looking for a gem, right? That's going to be an epic gem.
And you can see this one is a rare magical water, so it's got the different banner with the water symbol as well.
So the one that we just talked about, that's a common occupied, right? Common because it's got the white circle, and it's occupied because of the red flag.
Yep.
And then is there something? So in the one that's magical, how do I know what element is on there? Is it just because of like some of the things that are sticking out of it, like all the little like magically glow bits?
Yeah, so you'll be able to tell by looking at it by what type of elements are on it. So here you can see there's magical water flowing. It also has the symbol, but the deed information also tells you that it's magical water. So there's a couple of different visual cues as well as the text.
And there's just a ton of tundra. You have so much tundra.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going down through the tundra until we find an epic. And there were some guaranteed minimums on epic, correct?
Yes, and they might be at the top because I saw the effect playing when we were. Here's one.
There's one. So so the top left, that tells me that it's common. The gem tells me that it's I'm sorry, that it's natural. The gem tells me that it's epic, and it shares tundra in big bold orange letters.
Yeah.
Okay. So now maybe you can find a legendary somewhere so that I can identify that. In fantasy crypto, no, the mythic is even higher rarity than legendary.
Let's see. I might have to go to another view to easily find one.
Well, just I mean, it's fine to scroll through these, even if we waste a little time or whatever. Like, again, you just have so much tundra in here.
Here's a
So-
legendary.
Okay, so we're looking for the yellow. What would you like? Amethyst? What's a yellow stone?
Topaz?
Topaz. All right, so we'll call it the topaz stone for now. So it looks like it is a natural land. It has the legendary quality. It is tundra. This one, the legendary means at least citrine is another good one. That means that it's going to be extra good for farming grain, right? Like I would very likely to put grain on this as opposed to like or do I get the boost? I guess I'm forgetting. Do I get the boost for the legendary if it's if I'm doing science was magical or research was magical and then occupied was for SPS mining. So this is probably if it's just like a straight up grain, that's a I'm sorry, if it's just a straight up legendary, that's probably where I'm going to be farming grain as hard as I can.
Yeah, and if you have those gold legendary monsters to put on this, that's where you're gonna, maximize your PP for production points.
All right. So now, did you get a keep or a castle in this one?
So I believe I got the keep. Yeah, so I got the keep.
So
And I can actually click on this and go into it, and you get
nice.
a better view of what's going on.
Yeah, so much tundra.
Yeah.
Roughly how much tundra do you think you got? Like, or what do you think the average number will be in a given track that you explore?
So in general, the probabilities are around 85% that you'll get the dominant land type that the land is showing on the actual map view.
Wow,
And then
that's
there's
really concentrated.
Yeah.
That's intense. Matt's been talking about, hey, you're probably not even in a region, you're not going to have enough of everything. And this makes a lot of sense because if it's 85%, and there's 14 different types, let's say that you get lucky enough and you get 10 different types, you don't have the distribution to actually get up to all 14.
Yep.
That you're going to be missing some. So
Now
yeah.
we did maximize the map, so there are multiple terrain types in each region, but like I said, the main land type for the plot will have a high percentage of being what it's designated from looking at the visual map.
Okay. So now, yeah, I definitely see how I'm going to end up min-maxing because like, if all my stuff is tundra, I gotta focus on all things tundra rather than, really building my economy for like the 8 forest plots that I might get, All right. So then, so we have the keep. It has this here mythical, or the mythic rarity, and then if you go back, will it go back to the overall what we were just claiming, or does that go back to the map?
So it's going to take me back into the actual listing views because we've left the redeem.
Yeah. Have you gotten any castles? Do you know what that looks like?
So I don't have any in QA, but I have uncovered a couple locally running this.
Okay. Well, can you go into a region? All right, there we go. So I want to see like, so there's the ones that are surveyed. Yeah, and let's go find the ones that are occupied.
So right now we haven't updated the tooltips fully to show that information, but we can do this as well by going through the filters. So if I want to see what's legendary, Oops. And
I
I'm
can see
running an older
one.
build. You can see here that there's the legendary plot. And if I click on it and go into it, we can see that this was a legendary tundra.
All right.
If we go back here, I could, go into geography and turn on Badlands, and I have no Badlands, right? Everything's pretty much a tundra other than these other couple spots in here.
And then if you check out land type, so I'm tundra, and then I want I guess keep castle. I want to see occupied.
So for that, I need to click here. Oops. And then you can see all the occupied plots.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So now I can see how many. Will you click off somewhere so that?
Yeah,
So
right now the
1,
tooltip doesn't click off.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's actually like a pretty nice haul for occupied, right?
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
that was not normal. That's a lot of occupied land. You, sir, are going to be mining a lot of SPS in here.
Yes.
All right. So, all right. What else do you want to showcase in here?
I think the other big thing, right, is just explaining the way this works, right? So if you look behind this region map and see, like, this is a lot of tundra. There's mountains, there's forest, there's lake. So when you redeem one of these spots, like I was saying before, it's got a high chance of being what it is on the map, but then there's chances for it to be other types of terrain as well. But you do have that higher chance to match up the map.
Well, especially with like the so click on that middle one. That's kind of like a little up and down, looks a little bit like a dino. For the region, a little bit in the middle there. Yeah, that guy. So so that on the map, it's like split 50-50 between lake and I guess that's tundra. Does the map impact that 85% likelihood, or will if I have 15 others, are they likely to be lake down at the bottom? Is the geography of the map, how heavily is that playing into what I'm actually getting in my cards?
So when it comes to cases like this where it's kind of split, I believe that it's going to use whatever is the more dominant. So if there was more tundra, it would be designated as that over water. But in the case where it's like this one, where it's majority water, that's going to be designated as a water plot before you even survey it, right? And then it'll go through the probability tables to determine what it really is.
Does a secondary map feature impact what the rest of the 85% will be? Or is it only the primary land type that will matter?
So the magical and occupied are not influenced by that. It's only the land types.
Right. But so am I in that one region that's split between tundra and water, am I likely to get something like 85% tundra and 15% water? Or will the water plots just sort of be either tundra or random assortments of cards?
So it depends on what the probability table is, right? So every main land type has its own probability table of what it can generate. So I believe that in this case, tundra can be water, just because I believe that's part of the table.
Okay. So would it show up as a lake, or is that going to show up as a tundra that's somehow water influenced?
So it would show if it's going to be a lake, it would show up as a lake. It wouldn't show up as a tundra with water influence.
If it's tundra, it'll show up as a lake? Is that
No,
what you
if
just
it's
said?
I said if it's a lake, it'll show as a lake. If it's tundra, it'll show as tundra. There's no cross influence.
Okay. So let's go to the thing that's on the far right, the track that you already opened and explored.
Sure.
Can you click off the occupied and instead go to magical? So you're in a tundra. What element or what splinter is most is the one that's tied to that?
So Tundra, I believe, is most tied to water, I think.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look at the white paper.
So does that mean that every little magical plot is going to be water based, or are we going to see an assortment in here?
Oh, you're gonna see an assortment. So once it's determined that a plot is magical, there's an additional random number generation roll to determine what type of magic it actually is.
Okay, so can you show me some of these plots that are magical? Can we flip through those and
Sure.
see? So that looks
So-
like green magic, right?
Yeah, so this one here is earth magic. There should be an indicator in this little blob box, so we'll have to. This is not the most recent build, so we'll push a new build out to QA, but it should show what type of magic it is here.
Okay. Can you go back now and let's go find one that's a different magic type?
So this one is water magic.
Okay. And then let's dig up one more here and see.
And this one, I believe, is death magic. I think so.
Sweet.
And you can see here that I got a swamp instead of tundra.
Okay. So is it more likely that you get death magic in a swamp, or is it just a complete random distribution?
So there is a probability table for the magics as well, based on what the land type is. So there is a better probability of getting certain magics, but they are all possibly available.
Okay. Sweet. So have we covered all the major pieces, or is there anything else that you want to share as it pertains to land?
So I believe this is all the major things right now that we're going to be releasing tomorrow, or releasing to the MAV server tomorrow.
Okay, so speaking of which, I want to go. I own a region personally, and Hive Engine owns a region. Actually, it owns 12 tracks. So how do I open those? How do I discover them? Like, what do I need to do as a human to make sure that I can play around with this on the MAV server?
So every account that is a MAV should automatically get a bunch of items added to it. So decks, SPS, pretty much any token, all the titles. It's a process we call all the things. So once you've been added to the environment, you should end up with a bunch of tokens and should be able to go redeem them and then survey your land.
If I'm a user and somehow I'm either not registered or it's not connecting or whatever, do I put in a support ticket? Do I DM you? Do I send a passenger pigeon? What should I do?
The best bet would probably be to contact support. They've been trained on how to add people into the Mavs environment, so they can handle that. If the developers are around on Discord, we could do it too. But if we're not around it, don't just ping us to do that, because we got a lot of other stuff going on. So support would be your best bet.
And then is this going to go up during the normal maintenance window, or is this at a separate time?
I believe it's going to come up a little bit after the maintenance window, just because I have to be on that call and want to make sure the production release goes well before going to the Mavs environment.
Okay, sweet. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or anything else that we need to showcase for this?
I can't think of anything else right now, but if there's any questions, I'll watch chat and be glad to answer them.
How's it feel to actually get this thing out? Right? Like, this has been consuming your personal time for like months on end now, right?
Yeah, it feels really great to get to this point and get it out. I'm really excited once this gets out to actually start on the next phase, and hopefully we actually get that done a little earlier, because I don't know if everyone knows, but I've been recovering from a car accident, so this took a little toll on getting this done.
Speaking of recovering, how are you feeling? How are you doing? what percent of the way back to full health do you think you are, and do you think you'll be able to achieve full health?
I'd say I'm doing a lot better. I'm probably close to 90% better. I'm just dealing with one issue still where my right hand is kind of just permanently almost numb. So it makes typing and doing other things really interesting when you can't really feel the keys. So I'm going to see a specialist tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to get this resolved.
For those that want to send white light, love, health, prayers, whatever, let's go send him the Farpetrad and thank him for his work and hope for a healthy, speedy recovery. And glad to see that you're coming back at full strength and on your way to recovery, and really looking forward. Hey, I'm stoked. I think getting the deck B burn is like really critical. I think getting the like beginnings of this going, the trading that's going to happen. I think there's going to be a ton of card trading. There's going to be like a ton of price discovery. What's a common worth? How do you even like measure the value of a keep or a castle? I've seen a couple different people put out different estimates of what they think it's going to be, but to me, it's all pretty shocking. And the market has to go figure it out. And I'm excited to see what the prices will be, what players value things at, and how we come together on this. So
it's going to be very exciting to see what people price everything at, because I don't think land's going to get cheaper. I think it's just going to get more expensive.
Hey, we don't make price predictions. This is not financial advice. He's not your financial advisor. Just but yeah, I mean, kind of like they say, they're not making more of it. So if you don't have your land now, I think you're going to have a pretty sweet opportunity when all the surveying opens up. And speaking of surveying, like I think that Matt's planning on having a limited time where you're able to go get the survey boost, right? Like it's not infinite. You can't, a year from now you won't be able to get it, or maybe a year from now if you get it, it's going to be a lot more expensive. Have you been clued into the rough plan for that?
So we've had a tiny bit of discussion around this in the land team. It hasn't been decided how it'll be implemented yet, but we are going to limit the time it's available, most likely. I don't know if we'll do the more expensive later on, but it's been talked about multiple times that it's going to be time limited.
Yeah, because at some point, like maybe it gets more expensive for a period and then it goes away, but at some point it's got to go away, right? Like we don't want to support that part of the page forever. We want to be able to go move on from that. So get your surveying, get your deck B, get your starter kits, get all this stuff going, because it's not going to be here forever, folks. All right, I think that was pretty awesome. Thanks for taking us through land. I know that took a while, but this thing is so freaking cool, and there's really a lot to this. I don't think people understand just how much has to go into this, how many people, how much design work, both in the spreadsheeting of all this, but also then just like figuring out what's it going to look like, what are the pieces that we need to search for, where should they live, how do we make this user experience any good, and man, there's just a lot going on there. So Neil, thank you to you and the land team, the creative team, and you can bet your butt I'm going to be in there tomorrow surveying like a champ.
Yeah, look forward, and I will be resetting the Mavs database. So right now there are some deeds in there. They're all going to get wiped tomorrow when I do this update. So everyone will be starting fresh, and it'll open up more space for more Mavs to test.
Which also brings up, if I know where the castle or keep is going to be on the Mav server, can I just sneakily buy that plot in the real server or the production server, and that way I can get it, buy it on the cheap like it's a common land, but then actually get a keep or castle? Or is all the randomization going to be reset when you're actually surveying the land on production?
Yeah, so when we actually install the 1.0 code base for surveying, it actually is going to randomize all of that in the database. So they will never match between servers. So
I mean, maybe it might, right? Like
well,
there's like a 1% chance or something that they do, but it's not designed to match, right?
Yeah, I mean, like there's a very, very, very tiny chance that the RNG will generate one in the same spot, but it's very small.
Rock on. All right, Neil, thanks for coming on. I want to go bring on Investigator so we can talk about the release tomorrow, but I'm so excited for this. Thank you for all your hard work on this, and really excited to see what months of us doing surveying will look like and roll out, and let's get the feedback from the Mavs. So thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks.
All right, we're going to bring on Investigator. Investigator helps us with all the releases, right? None of this stuff actually goes live without your help. So thank you for what you're doing here. It doesn't seem like tomorrow is going to be overburdensome. I mean, maybe it is on the Mav server, but at least for the game server, we got a couple things going, but it's not too extensive. What are you seeing on the docket for this coming release tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a quieter release than originally planned, since originally we were thinking that land surveying was going to go out tomorrow, but we're pushing it back to do some further cleanup. So the big thing that's happening tomorrow is that the expiration for the markets is going to finally hit.
Yeah, that's
So-
not like new code, right? Like that's the old code, but now enough time has passed, the 30 days have gone by so that it's actually going to happen. Or is this new code?
It's some new code. There's been some cleanup of it in the past week or two. So that's definitely going to be a big change in terms of both how much stuff is on the market and hopefully on our end, how much data is going back and forth.
Yeah, and that's not like the only thing planned for that, right? There's still a bunch of other things that we're going to try to do to, I don't know, make it as, I don't know, fiscally reasonable as we can, right? Because it seems like there's a thing called egress, which is the amount of data that's going back and forth between us and a lot of the third-party markets, or just back and forth between players. The goal is to try to like bring that cost down, correct?
Yeah, right now we're returning a lot more information than you probably need anytime you go to look at something listed on the market. So we are going to be fixing that soon, getting the market listing fees and the market expiration kind of took precedence over doing some of the changes that need to be done to handle that, because we need to redo our caching system for the market data, basically to make the results sortable in different ways, so we can return a set amount of cards like by the lowest price, by the lowest BCX, by the highest BCX, and not just give you all the cards all the time, which is basically what it's doing right now.
Yeah, it seems a little crazy. Like most players that are looking at this from just like I go on to Splinterlands, or I go on to Splex, or I go on to Peak Monsters, or any of the sites that are here. You're not trying to find every single Lord of Darkness on the market, right? Like you're typically just trying to see what's the least expensive or something like that. So this is meant to mimic more of like the normal human experience than like, please tell me every gargoyle that's on I know that there's 150,000 of them. I guess it's like 800,000 of them. Maybe like 15,000 are on the market. Please tell me the price of all 15,000. Like that's not like a user thing that normally users want, right? So this is trying to get in line with what like a normal human might actually be asking for.
Yeah, realistically, most people care about maybe at most the cheapest 400 cards, probably less.
I mean, I can tell you, I'll go on Peak Monsters and I'll buy, up to like 1,500 cards at a time. So it's not, I guess that's where they're capping out with their system. So
yeah, that's probably not the average user.
I mean, they're
But,
penny cards. What do you want me to do? It's 15 bucks to go get like 4 of these, man, like max level things.
But try to do it without caching, and with how much market data we've got right now, doing it directly out of the database takes way too long to return to sorted results back like that.
Well, so we're doing that even if I like, so when I go to the market page, you're like providing all of that data for all of the cards before I even tell you which one I'm interested in, right?
Once you click on the card, you get back all the cards for that card, and then we sort it on basically the client side, which is not an efficient way to do it. We all know it's not an efficient way to do it, and it's been a priority to fix that for a while. But as I said, the listing fee and expiration ended up taking precedence over redoing how we're caching our data to fix that.
Like egress is something like $1,000 a day, isn't it? Like this isn't just like a teeny tiny thing. This is like, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, right?
Yeah. But once the market items are expired tomorrow, probably also going to be a big reduction in how much gets returned, since we're expecting a lot of stuff that just hasn't had activity is going to fall off the market.
And that's
So-
like, we have what, 45 million cards or something that's in that database right now.
Yeah, we've got millions of market listings.
Okay. Yeah. So, we're doing something like 50 to 100,000 NFT sales per day, right? So it's not like, maybe in a month we'll get up to like 3 million. So it's reasonable that we're in the millions, but it sounds like there's 10x more listings than is really reasonable or what we're chewing through right now.
Yeah, I mean, the people that listed Pellicore, 1BCX Pellicores for $1 probably aren't going to see activity on those for a little bit.
Yeah. You guys can list them again when we're there. We don't need to be spending all this money and time for these things.
So that's going to be a big change. We expect that'll probably take a while the market data gets updated. But as terms of gameplay, we do have some changes that people might be more interested in. So one thing that got announced a little early on Discord was that we're going to be extending the cooldown period for cards from 1 day to 2 days.
Did we see a lot of exploitation happen in the very first week with this, or are we just like, hey, we know it enough, we don't have to like track down data, we know if we let you guys do this, you'll do it indefinitely?
Yeah, we part of it was we intended to do this, but didn't want to without notifying people ahead of time. So this got delayed out to this week. I thought Matt was originally going to do an announcement about it, but I think he got busy, and so I did an announcement in the Tech Updates channel.
Does that
there
mean that-
were a couple.
Does
Sorry,
that mean when I'm renting a card that the minimum rental period is now 48 hours for a rental?
It has been for some time now.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
There's a minimum 2-day daily rental, and with the energy system going to basically a 2-day recharge, this makes a lot more sense. Also, for the 2-day brawl submissions, we actually ran into some bugs related to 24-hour cooldowns and 2-day brawl timers, where someone would submit the card, the cooldown would expire, they'd give it to someone else before the brawl resolved. That person would then enter it in a brawl against the person they borrowed it from. Happened
makes a
like
lot of
2 or
sense.
3 times, and it screws up the match. It gets really confused when the card is on both teams.
That makes sense. I don't think that we planned for that.
No, and it all came down to the cooldown timers and how long people had to, submit teams. So it's going to fix that, which is part of why we're doing it, so we don't have this weird bug that comes up every once in a while.
Sweet. What else? What else we got in here?
So Cryptomancer has made some changes for tournament prizes. We will now be able to put totems, packs, and plots as tournament prizes, where you automatically send them into an escrow account and they will get distributed at the end of the tournament. No more manual distribution of pack prizes. So that will hopefully make it a lot easier for us to give out fun prizes. And we have a new rule set. This one is one that people may like or hate, depending on what they've got. But it is, are you not entertained? allows players to play one additional gladiator card in this match.
Hold on, you got to do that. You got to do that with a little more flair. Are you not entertained? You gotta be channel your inner Russell Crowe here
Russell
for
Crowe,
me.
yeah. So those are the main things going out tomorrow. There are a couple of small fixes, little things. The support site wasn't opening up in a new window on tech modernization pages. We hot fixed out a whole bunch of stuff this week. Incorrect soul keep info about the number of packs. There was a bug with the next season calculation that was impacting the rental for seasons. So some people were getting a large number of days for their season rentals. That was hot fixed out. But if you did rent it out for 2 months, you have it for 2 months.
Okay. Sweet.
So those are the main things going out tomorrow. The following week, pretty sure land is going to be taking most of the attention, but hopefully we will finally get some of the kinks worked out with the tech modernization SPS page. I know I talked about that a few weeks back, but still a few things that need to be fixed on it. And we do have a bunch of stuff going on in the background, just speaking as the product owner of the ops team. So we're doing a lot of background work still and moving stuff around and working to, reduce costs, hopefully without impacting performance, since we're just moving stuff to cheaper servers that are basically the same specs, just a different server options.
All right. Well, rock on. Investigator, thanks so much for your hard work. I know that these days get really stressful. Are you feeling like this one is in a good spot, or you think this is going to be a monster? What should the players expect tomorrow?
It should be a pretty quiet update. The main thing that's going to take time, I think, is the market expirations, because we probably want to let that run through and expire all of the giant backlog of items before we let people back into the market. So that may take a bit of time, but other than that, I'm not expecting any real problems with the update tomorrow.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Well, rock on. Investigator, thanks so much. You're killing it. Really appreciate the work that you do. And I don't know how this game runs without you. So thanks for all your hard work. Thanks for helping us get this stuff live. And thanks for helping to reduce the bills, because, these have been very difficult crunch times. And, knowing that our server costs are going down, not up, even as we add new features and all this other stuff is just so relieving. So thank you.
Thank you. And talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Let's bring on Weirdbeard. This is we call this thing Brawlhalla, but we probably have to go figure out a name that's a little bit broader scope. Weirdbeard, we've been doing a little bit of a trial here with you, trying to figure out me in particular, but I think a lot of us really appreciated the way that you've gone and done user surveys and testing everybody out and seeing what the community wants. And right now we're trying to test out, how do we expand your role? And currently you're doing some product ownership in the enhancement team. Do you want to explain any of the words that I just said? Because I don't think people necessarily know what it means.
So product owner is not the person who's like doing coding or running projects, like actually managing them. It's more the person who's helping to make stuff from a leadership team happen amongst a team of like devs, engineers, creative, all that kind of stuff. It's essentially like the coach, right? Because you're trying to go out and find out, what do we need to be doing and how do we get it done? And you send your players out there to actually throw the ball.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. I mean, not everybody loves sports analogies, but why don't wait. You're kind of like the summoner.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like you got your team of monsters out there, and you're trying to buff all of them. How about that? Can we do a Splinterlands metaphor?
Definitely, yeah. So I am Lux Vega. I'm out there to just work in any situation. I got to be able to be flexible and get some stuff going because we got lots to do. So it's getting down to business.
So, so I know that we want to talk about tournaments and guilds and brawls. Like, what is your focus? Have you stopped caring about those things now that you're doing some of these other things, or is it just an expansion of the role? Like, what's it look like now? I mean, it just started, so it's very
yeah.
early. So it would, you know, I want to put in some caveat of like, this is a trial period. We're seeing if you like it. We're seeing if it functions with the group and seeing how all these things go. But
Yeah.
you know, what's like the what's the landscape of things that you're like caring about now and working on?
So the number one thing is helping Matt be Matt, which is like a very near and dear goal to me because Matt is somebody who has been asked to do so many things, right? Like you have him running all over the place. And as Marie Kondo would say, you have to do stuff that sparks joy. So I want to help Matt get back to, you know, just being able to nail this land stuff and be able to focus on like the million co-founder tasks that he already has, right? But then outside of that,
and just, you know, that's my goal too.
Yeah.
Like Matt, I think has been overwhelmed for something like 4 years.
Yeah.
And it is my goal to go reestablish Matt as like a relaxed, charming, happy, charismatic human being. And at times we have stolen that from him. I don't always display just like how much turmoil that running this company can like drag in, you know, like going through bear markets and things like that. It's absurd. It's so hard to go do this gig. And I don't try to talk about that because, you know, you guys don't, you know, it's like the Woody Harrelson crying and money meme. And I'm sure that plenty of people don't care about that part of my journey, but this gig is really hard. You know, you have so many people screaming around the clock about all the ways that they're unhappy. And and I know that I got broad shoulders and I like deal with a lot of that. But I think it cuts really deep into Matt. And so trying to figure out ways that we can take some of the stress off, we can take some of the workload off, we can take kind of the crap that he doesn't like dealing with off of his plate so he can really just focus on the parts that he loves, which is the design. He loves that design work. But you know, like part of doing this stuff, you have to like the product management, and that ownership, you know, who's doing what work when, what are all the success criteria, what are all the pieces that has to go into this, every little piece of coordination. Like we don't need Matt to like do every single part of that. In fact, it's kind of maddening if you are. So I think having like broad spectrum overview, key design input, but not like in the depth of the day to day, and not like taking up every minute of your spare time. Like we gotta keep doing what we can to protect Matt, to show him that we love him, to not having every little piece of this on his shoulders. And I'm glad to hear you echo some of that sentiment of let's preserve this man's sanity.
Yeah, really.
Whatever's left of it.
Yeah, and so it's like helping Matt out with that, but then the other thing too is helping to steer the ship of like what you and the leadership team want to do, right? Like the way it should work is leadership team should not say, "Hey, we want you to do this," and then come down and like stand over somebody's shoulder and be like, "All right, now type the W key, now type the E key, now type the." No, go away. Like you're supposed to just say, "Hey, we want to have this happen," and then I go back to my team and we go back and be like, "All right, how do we get this done?" And also we come back and we tell leadership team like, "Yo, here's the stuff that needs to be done. Like we are going to find time to do this, this, and this and make it happen." You know, like this is to put it bluntly, this is the way we unlock like that new player experience, right? We do it because all of a sudden we do it through better product planning and better like project management, that now that somebody isn't juggling both being a co-founder and a designer and leading a team and X and Y and Z and all these other things, it lets me just go, all right, this is our goals. Here's how we do it. And we've already been delivering a lot of stuff on the enhancements team. It's not like stuff isn't coming out, right? But part of project management is understanding what's the impact of the stuff that we're doing, and how do we properly prioritize and give the space for stuff that needs to happen.
And like really having the roadmap built out, I like Matt has been incredible, like figuring out scaling to the degree he has been really impressive. And I know in part it's like killed this man inside to have to do all this. But trying to like get ahead of where Matt's at has
Yes.
always been a nearly impossible task. Even from the beginning, being like, hey, I know you're working on this, but when we get here, what is that going to look like? And it's almost like anger, and like you get a little bit of the Hulk, Bruce Banner to the
Yeah.
Hulk transition, and he's like, "Why are you asking me this? I have no mental space for this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we'll wait a little bit." But like, but it should still be developed, and I couldn't like drag Matt into that because he's so focused in the now. And I think if you and the team can sort of help him, he doesn't have to be the one to spec every little thing, right? Like, it's great if he has the time to do that, but it shouldn't live entirely on him. And maybe there's some of the more complicated things that we really do need only Matt, or like, actually, I'm getting really impressed with Call Me Tim. I feel like he's got some really awesome design work too. So there's a couple of people in this org that like I'm really feeling like we can pass the hard design stuff off to. Cryptomancer's done a great job with this stuff too. But like I want to get to the point where Matt's feeling good and he's relaxed, and all the things that he wants to design and work on, or he's focused on it. And then the things that like he's like, this is crap, I don't want to do it, these are meetings that suck away my time and I hate it, and leave me alone, I just want to go design this stuff in my ivory tower. Let's facilitate that. Let's give this man as much of that as he wants, and hopefully he is happier and more relaxed and really enjoying all this process. Not to say that he's not ever enjoying this process, but you can just see the stress that he wears on his shoulders.
Well, I bring this up. Doing tournaments, when I first got here, you hated doing tournaments. You hated it. It hurts you physically to do them.
Yeah.
And being able to take that off your plate, where I'm like, okay, boom, this is now gone. You get to replace it with something that you actually like. I don't know, even if it's small, things like that really make it easier to do, the day-to-day stuff here. But one of the other really big benefits, I think, is going to be doing, like I said, that better planning, that huge in-depth building ahead of time to talk about like, hey, what can we do to give creative as much forerunning as they can get to do better UX and UI. And like, we're able to not feel like, oh, we have this thing, now we got to get it out. And you're like designing it kind of while you're putting it together, because we keep ourselves on such tight schedules. Well, now we'll have stuff that should be just ready, so that when we get there, we just start pulling it off the shelf and doing it. And that allows us to do better products that have more impact, that affect more players on a better timeline, I guess.
All right. So what are your like highest objectives, or what are you, have you abandoned brawls? Have you abandoned tournaments? Are you still working on those things? Like what, I'm thinking of sort of like a Lion King scene where you're like looking over the savannah and saying all of what the light touches is ours. Like what parts of Splinterlands are yours to sort of like focus on and deal with now?
So enhancements team that covers creative. Nate still runs creative team. It just means that he has to get bugged by me more often. So it's like creative, it's devs, and that includes non-GLS, GLX stuff. So like working with tower defense and our developers that are invested in land, and then some of marketing so that we can actually market the products that are starting to come out. Like essentially anything that's not platforms and ops, meaning if it's not something that's not non-Splinterlands, excluding tower defense, then I probably have hands in it.
So it sounds like your scope kind of increased. Like,
Yes.
We're still asking you to focus on brawls and focus on tournaments, but now it seems like, things like new player experience are now on your plate too. And things like, I don't know, land expansion. Maybe you're not designing every single part of that, but you're sort of like a little bit of like production manager.
Yeah.
If this was a movie, not everybody's like familiar with agile and agile development, but I sort of feel like it's a little bit like being the producer of a
That's
movie,
exactly it.
right? Like you're not there as a key grip with a camera. You're not the actor on stage giving some impassioned speech. You know, you're not the freaking like clothing designer. You're not sewing up dresses, but like, you know, there's almost nothing that isn't going to happen in that movie without the producer blessing it at some point or helping it or saying, hey, we really need to get that thing done now because it's the next scene that we're filming. And like, I don't know, movie producer is sort of the closest role I can think of that somebody in real life might be a little bit more familiar with, of like, what is a product owner?
Yeah, and it's like I have a lot of experience, and you'll laugh, doing it in radio for so many years, but you learn that it's a lot of plate juggling and just making sure that the stuff goes in the right boxes. That's the main thing, is to make sure, like, I've brought this up. We've had a backlog, right? All these tasks and items and bugs and all kinds of stuff that we've wanted to do. That has just gotten overwhelming. And it's when I talk to my fiance about it, I'm always just like, it's like we were depression hoarding. You know what I mean? Like, it got so bad that eventually you just stopped looking at it because you don't want to get stressed out about it. Like, part of my job is now going to go through and clean it up. And it's like, oh, look, this bug has been outstanding for 6 months. We need to get this done. How do we get this done?
What can you give like one example of that? Because, you know, if a bug has been there for 6 months and we're still dealing with it, like, isn't that a feature at some point?
Well, some things are unintended, like they literally just are broken items. Like, one of the things that we have is a translation. If you go to some abilities in German, it won't even pop up English text. It'll just, nothing will pop up along with it. Like, and a lot of it is just little quality of life type things that we always go. They're like the honey-do list where we go, oh, we'll get to it, and then you go, oh, it's been 6 months and we've never we haven't done anything with it, because there's just things that it's like it's constant. Every day you have to go through and, you know, tour everything and look at everything that's submitted. And it's frustratingly great, because if you're somebody like me who likes checking off boxes, it's really nice because every day you can go through and be like, ah, we've solved X, Y, and Z. And it's like, when we go back to talking about somebody like Matt is omnipotent. He's from 5,000 feet above and sees everything all at once, right? And so it's very hard to care about, like, oh, hey, this one little thing is just kind of off a little bit, right? So if you have somebody that can now focus on the big picture stuff, and then somebody that can focus on the small, like, hey, every day deliver, deliver, deliver type stuff, you get the best of both worlds.
Rock on. All right. Any major development? I know that this is kind of new, but what's the priority right now? What are you guys working on right now? What's like first thing that's on your brain?
Well, we're chunking through land. The land release is going to be really big. Getting that out. We also have some other promo card type products that are on the back line that are coming through here shortly. We've done a lot of validator work, and we'll see that in a little while, just because of some delays that'll be in there. But I think, like, the other big thing is housework, meaning like cleaning up how we deliver and do all the different stuff. But also, we're going to be coming up here taking a solid almost sprint to just do planning. That's it. It's going to be all about, hey, these other things that we're hoping to accomplish throughout the rest of the year. What can we plan now so that when we get to it, it's ready to roll? That includes things like guild updates and guild building additions, more land stuff, new player experience, you know, some gameplay changes with new game modes. Like, getting all of that on the shelf just helps it so that we don't have like a problem right now that happens with Cryptomancer. Cryptomancer is the brawls, tournaments, and guilds guy, right? If he were to go into a deep dark cave and never come back out, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So getting people trained on different parts of things, so we don't have, hey, this is the one dev who does this one thing. We have the entire team that is able to accomplish a lot of things on a single project more quickly than one person doing 6 different projects, you know, spaced out over 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. All right. I think we got to kill it there. Why don't we I don't know, any last thing that you want to make sure that the community knows before I head over to Splinterlands TV?
Yeah, more than anything else, community feedback is something that is very important in the design process. We are deathly focused on making sure that player journey is perfected and we do a good job of that, which means that we're going to be doing more feedback sessions like we did for the guilds. I appreciate everybody that filled it out. Keep an eye out, you know, and the more participation we have and stuff like that, the better.
Rock on. All right, Weirdbeard, thanks so much. Excited to see what you guys can do in the enhancement team, and I'm going to be measuring the distance between Matt's shoulder and his
Yes.
ear.
All
that
right.
if they're high up and they stay high up, we have failed him. And if he's able to just wander around like the little the dev lord that he is, and design guru, and he can do that in a relaxed state, that's going to be our measure of success here.
The goal is to have him in a Hawaiian shirt drinking a Mai Tai. Anything
Yeah.
less than that
Yeah.
is not enough.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, Weirdbeard, thanks so much. Let's head over to Rondon. I know Rondon is dying to tell us about Monster March and Splinterlands TV and all the cool things that we're doing over here.
Well, thanks for having me on, Egg. Yeah, no, and actually, I've been seeing you hanging out in Splinterlands TV quite a bit here recently. Have you just been like, watching all the cards that have been given away on Twitter and going, "What the heck is happening here?
What the hell have you people done here? Where's all my cards, Enotic?" No, it's you know, I like Splinterlands TV. I don't have enough time to like sit around and watch it all the time, but I like. To me, it's really important to like pop into the shows and just be like, "Hey guys, thanks for doing this. Here's a couple cards," and you know, just try to build rapport. You know, I got to sit on Mumpole's. I don't think that I've been on one of his shows yet, so got to hop in for a little bit, and you know, it's just important to me. I think Splinterlands TV is a great addition to our community and our ecosystem, and getting the players watching and like multiple years of content going out. Like this is how we're going to grow. This is how we're going to get new people. This is how we like bring them into the ecosystem and keep them here.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, the community is just awesome over there. I say that every week, but I just like to reiterate. I mean, it's quite possibly the least toxic place to go to on Twitch.
Yeah, you know, that's been such a focus of mine. Of like, you have the rest of the internet to be as cruel to each other as you want, to be as unprofessional as you want, to swear at each other, to make fun of each other, to just be like a righteous bastard. If that's what you want, you have the entire internet. But at least in this one place, I'm going to stake a flag in the ground and say, if you guys are going to hang out in my home, you can have whatever opinion you want, but you have to deliver it with some level of professionalism. And, you know, of course, there's like, you know, a little bit of wiggle room in there to make some like, you know, mildly dirty jokes, or every now and then people break character or whatever. There's some wiggle room because this isn't the Pentagon. But, you know, I definitely want to have like a good, clean community so that people feel welcome and it's okay to be here.
Absolutely. And I think that Splinterlands TV is just one part of that, and it's we're striving to do our best. But well, anyway, I'm sure that we don't have much time left here on this town hall, and I'm sure people want to get some answers to their questions and stuff like that.
Yeah. Ron, are you going to be able to stay late? I kind of let the show run late. Are we going to be able to stream for a little bit extra?
We can do it a little bit extra. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll try not to make it too long. The audience isn't too big on the live show today, so I don't think we're going to get inundated with questions here.
You know,
but
you never know.
You never know. That's fair. But we got to do some shout outs. So Cray Mundre, Solving Chaos, Yummy T Kudasai, I Deju, Adazu, I don't know.
You got to say that with some conviction.
Adazu, CS Cable, Euclifiel, Play to Earn Life, Sliffer SPL, Play to Earn Life again. Look at that guy. That's a lot of Splinterlands TV that they watched. Lotnik, Basel 25, Bruce Grillis Gaming, Arutemia 3, and Uda Krieger. Man, you guys picked like the weirdest names humanly possible. I mean, they're not quite Slavic level where like they refuse to put vowels in it, but these are definitely difficult to pronounce. So those dudes, they all watched a ton of Splinterlands TV. Thanks for being part of our ecosystem. Thanks for helping us kind of like spread awareness of our game and build community. I think it's a really big deal that we all participate in this.
Just you wait until we do our aggressive Poland campaign and get
brutal. Maybe there's a clip of the week somewhere around here that we can talk through.
Oh, absolutely. And this one right here, this one was a pretty tough one. We got we had some really crazy moments this week. Butters, he gave away a level 6 Auric, and I believe it was an alpha level 6 Auric. That's a gold level Auric that somebody won. No Empathy gave away a Byzantine kitty. That was that one just caught him off guard. Holozor got the most excited I've ever seen him on stream.
Is he able to get excited? I thought he was just deadpan the whole time.
His eyebrows raised up slightly.
There you go. There you go. I believe it.
He gave away a gold foil Lily.
Ooh.
Yeah. But Lewis took the cake this week. He had the luck at the draw, and his jaw dropped on this one right here. So, guys, enjoy.
Who's the winner? Slay for red. Okay, slide for SPL. Okay.
Just stunned.
Just absolutely speechless. Yeah, speechless. Exactly. So, yeah, that was our clip of the week for this week. And guys, listen, if you guys want to participate in clip of the week, make sure you go to the Splinterlands TV Discord, which that's really easy to go to, splinterlands.tv/Discord. Go there anyway, because we're going to be announcing what's going on for next April. And that's the place you're going to want to catch it at in our announcement channel. So make sure you guys are there, splinterlands.tv/Discord. But you can also go there and submit clips and possibly even win 500 SPS, just like our clip of the winner this week, Sebastian Techie. That's who won 500 SPS this week. So you guys, even the top 4, still they get 200 SPS. It's really a win-win. You watch, you win, you submit clips, you win, you hang around, have fun, good times, good people.
Rock on. All right, Ron, thanks so much. Really appreciate you kind of leading the charge here and helping build this community and making it a good community to be a part of. You've done a really amazing job, and I'm thankful for your time and your work and your passion for what you do.
Thanks, Zach. My pleasure.
All right, and that handsome beard of yours, just A+ there, sir. All right, I think I've kept this man waiting long enough. The eye candy, the creative update. This is what so many people have been waiting for. But just Nate, what's going on? What's your priority? What's on your plate? And what are you focused on here?
Yeah, a lot of what was shared earlier, the demo by Farpetrad. By the way, he's a freaking rock star. He has not single-handedly, but been the tip of the spear when it comes to implementing and developing all this land stuff in a very short amount of time. So big hats off to him. I know that just this past weekend, yesterday on Sunday, was reviewing on the test server with Roy, our UX designer, and we're like trying to come up with all these last minute feedback and suggestions and things that needed to be tweaked and edited in time for just tomorrow. And I was like, I don't know if the devs are going to be able to get all of this done in time, because this is kind of what we're hoping for, and this is how it is now. What can we do? And the devs just went nuts. Like in less than a day, they were just zipping through all these changes very rapidly, and they got a lot of them done. And probably, even while we're talking and after this town hall, they're going to keep trying to get as much done as possible leading up to the moment that it hits the MAV server. So that's exciting. It's exciting to see all the hard work that's going into trying to, get the community what they've been waiting so long to get. And then just fair warning, what you guys who are fortunate enough to be a Maverick and get access to this, just know that, you know, there'll probably be more and more updates as we continue to try to squeeze in what we can't squeeze in tomorrow. So, for instance, I just reviewed some cool sound effects from Asaria yesterday, I believe it was. So when you hear the card flip, we have the little MP3 sounds you can hear for occupied sound, or like roar. And then if it's Kingdom Land, you might hear some trumpet sound and things like that. I know that we're working on some animations effects. We're working on you know, music that might be implemented at some point that's already ready to go. So there's all these things that I'm not sure what's going to quite make it into tomorrow, and what we might need a few more days or the rest of the week to kind of finish polishing up. But I would encourage all of you guys, you know, we all check out the Discord server. So I'm constantly, every day, I check the Land channel, I check the Maverick channel, I check all these different channels, just kind of trying to make sure that I'm aware of anything that people are finding as pain points, or finding as you know, have good suggestions. For instance, not related to UX specifically, but the other day Bulldog had this great idea, I think, in Mav's chat about, hey, you know, why don't we create a Photoshop template that the creative team can give to our influencers or our you know, our streamers, and that way they can make the thumbnails for all these videos that much easier if they have those kind of resources that they may not have right now. I was like, hey, that's a great idea, you know. I tapped Tyler and Alfredo, who, by the way, are the creative coordinators, which is very similar in functionality to kind of the increased scope that Weirdbeard's taking on right now. And I don't know what I would do without them. So the fact that Matt has gone so long without having that is crazy. You know, I'm glad that we're making these changes and tweaks, because I'm not sure what I would do without Tyler and Alfredo. They're the unsung heroes of the creative department, who handle all the logistics and the infrastructure and the project management boards and the meetings and the subtasks, and trying to make sure that all the pieces are coming together just in time to make our commitments and fulfill those commitments, meet our deadlines and stuff like that. So so yeah, there's a lot going on there. They went ahead and made the task on the project management boards to kind of like get that going. So we have a graphic designer currently working on making that a reality. Bulldog's suggestion. I think I read yesterday as well. Gavassel, he had a suggestion. Hey, why don't you add a button for the white paper on the land stuff that's coming out? So as we introduce that, there should be some button that helps people know the next step in land, and be able to read the details of the white paper and make these suggestions and make these decisions when they're kind of surveying the land and figure out what to do. So that was a great idea. We got to do that. So so keep the ideas flowing. That's absolutely critical to UX. I'm very happy to hear Weirdbeard talk earlier about trying to, you know, make sure that UX has enough. There's enough planning involved to make sure that the game gets the polish and the UX that it deserves, and that we so desperately want to give it. A lot of people talk about the new player experience and what we could do to improve that, and that's coming. You know, that's been on the roadmap. It's in our sights. We see it coming down the road, and being able to give that enough time to plan out properly and get the UX just right. That I think that'll be big. That'll be a critical part of making it, not just doing it, but doing it well.
Yeah, and
So
hopefully some of the sort of like player research that Weirdbeard has been doing plays into like, what is it that the players want to see for the new player experience? You know, it's important what you and I and Matt and Weirdbeard and the devs want, but it's also really important what the players want. And hopefully we're able to sort of crowdsource this a little bit to get all the right kinds of feedback to make sure that we're hitting the right notes on that.
no, definitely. So I'm really eager to hear what people have to say about land as we keep polishing and updating and everything, and we'll take all those thoughts and not just polish what surveying looks like, but also 1.5.
So I've been working on this little metaverse project for a little bit, and I know you've been in there. They showed me, and I think they showed you, some of these other rooms that like Avagochi has done about, like, you know, here's a metaverse world you can wander around in, and it's just filled with videos that answer questions. So like parts of me are like, how can I build like a little room like that? You know, you wander around and it starts answering the new user experience questions. I mean, that's it. To me, it kind of goes back to like, there's not one thing that we're going to be able to do that solves all these problems. It's like, we're going to have to get the information to people in like 10 different ways, 10 different formats. And if they do enough of them, they'll get it. And then the other part is like trying with this arcade platform that I mentioned earlier in the show. If we get a whole bunch of different games where some of them are like a little bit more intuitive to understand than Splinterlands, you know, like nobody sits down. There's nobody in the world that knows how to just intuitively play Splinterlands. You know, you have to figure this whole thing out. But there are a whole bunch of games that we could be making and could put out that are easy for people to understand, and that if something was a little bit more casual, that they don't have to both overcome the hurdle of blockchain and the challenge of the game. So a little bit of that is in my brain of how do we onboard users. I'd like to see some simpler games that they could be playing as well. But that's a little bit of an aside.
Sure.
I challenged you right before the show started to think through what might some eye candy look like this week, because I know that Neil stole a fair amount of the thunder by doing like a live demo of Land. Is there anything that you want to showcase this week? Is it a quiet week before the storm? Where'd you settle?
No, for sure. I think when we discussed right before the town hall started, I was like, well, crap, there's a lot of stuff we're working on, but it's not ready to show anybody, and it's not something we can talk about yet. However, I did take your request to heart, so I came up with something. So even though you saw a lot with Farpetrad, for those of you who want something a little bit more high res and you don't want to just screenshot, I got some wallpapers made to celebrate introducing the out on the test server. So here are some wallpapers to go over. Let's see what we got here. Here is a magic land. This one is a magical forest land. Here is an occupied land with scary monsters. And here is Kingdom Land, in case you are lucky enough to get one of those castles.
That's what I was going to ask for. I wanted to go see a castle because we didn't get that with Farpetrad. So thank you for doing that.
No, absolutely. So for those of you guys who want to just celebrate the release of the land survey phase to the test server and look forward to a week from now getting to see it live, there you go. You could go ahead and use those wallpapers, or use it in your if you're an influencer, you want to do some videos, then go ahead and use those graphics. You'll notice that I talked to Joey, our narrative lead, about this. The little symbol up in the upper right hand corner, we are leaning towards, and for those of you who have been very observant, you've seen that little symbol in other places, and I'll let you guys just figure out where those places are. But ultimately, we're thinking that we like the idea of hiding in plain sight. So as the Chaos Empire has control over Praetoria, and the battle mages have gone underground to kind of connect with the Rift Watchers and figure out, what do we do? How can we plan for this? What they don't know yet, but this upcoming rebellion. Then you have you guys, the players, are these battle mages. You're upset at the Empire taking over, and you're trying to figure out how can you contribute without getting thrown in jail or executed. You'll look for that icon. You'll look for that logo, which represents the League of Verico, which, if you guys took part in the survey not too long ago, it came to, you guys were instrumental in determining what is the story that we're telling here. You guys thought it was just about, it's a little title before my name, that's all this is. Not enough. You guys are helping to define the story of the game, and you guys did so. So since we are going with the League, that might represent the League of Verico, which means in turn your guys' place, the role that you play within the Splinterlands universe, and what that means for our storytelling. That it's going to bleed into various forms of gameplay, perhaps not just for Land, but maybe in other respects as well. We'll see what's in store.
I'm hoping that there are ways that I'm going to be able to have my land to like earn titles and earn earn the respect of all my peers by bringing my massive monster army to go unlock secrets of Praetoria, to mine SBS, to have more grain than everybody else. And if I can fight my way into the next generation of lore because of my heroic deeds, that would be so cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been talking to Matt about, because Matt has a grand plan, and you guys already know there's this big secret of Praetoria, and research is somehow involved, and research is needed to make that happen. But I think you and I are in alignment on this, because we both, I think, approached Matt, and we both had these ideas like, well, can they be researching other stuff too, while they're trying to figure out this grand master secret, right? And I know if I have my way, then we would have layers of uses for this research in different
Could be something
ways.
like, oh, you want a level 2 building? Oh, are you advanced enough to build it? You know, like we can definitely lock all kinds of like upgrades behind how much research has happened. And we want to be cognizant that, like, you know, not everybody is going to be able to go do research if they only have one plot. So maybe there's something like, you know, the more advanced you are, the less it will cost, or the less time it will take. So maybe it's not like a straight up, limiter, but it would just provide you with a lot of benefits that, you know, the single plot owner wouldn't have access to because it didn't bother.
No, absolutely. I mean, of course, being creative, I'm prone to want the research to be very narrative driven. I want to make the players feel like, even though land is very much some gamified DeFi, I mean, more so than the other parts of our game, it has a place in the Splinterlands ecosystem. It's very ROI centric and very production, you know, level. And although there's these civilization games and these other kingdom games where you can kind of like start, and that's fun. I mean, that's a different type of gameplay, but ultimately I would love to, where I can, I'm going to try to inject some sort of like, hey, you know, not maybe you could research something that makes you feel more and more like a spy, or more and more like you are working for this underground resistance, and the research is needed by the Rift Watchers to accomplish this thing or that thing. The more of that kind of stuff that I could kind of like sneak in, fair warning, then I think that'll add an element of, I don't know, cool immersion and excitement that maybe wouldn't otherwise be there. So
And not everybody's going to be able to do it, right? Like if you only have one plot, you can't participate. So having some of this where, like, if you want to be a part of that storyline, you have to have another plot and you have to be doing some research, I think is good. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. And that's kind of how it should be. If you don't want to fully engage, that's your choice. But here's all the cool stuff that you can't do because of it.
no,
And I'm
absolutely.
okay
And
with
for those of you who are like, oh no, I can't buy a whole bunch of plots to keep up. Well, I mean, we do intend at every turn, whenever the opportunity presents itself, I think we're all in agreement on the land team that we do want to provide non-landowners with an opportunity to contribute and to participate, but in different ways. And what those ways are, we'll share those as we get through the development process. And then, speaking of trying to inject some sort of lore narrative, I guess I could share this. Madi, our art lead, just shared this with me for review, I think earlier today. So you guys are getting it hot off the press. We're going over concepts because the devs are anxiously waiting. Hey, Nate, we need grain icons and we need graphics for this, and research, and what does this look like and what does that look like? Some of it for now for surveying, and other for conceptualizing what 1.5 is going to bring. So there's a little bit of both here, but here's an idea of some of the concepts that are being worked around. Obviously, you can see grain. Grain is grain. Options 1, 2, 3, 4 represents different ways we might illustrate research. Right now, I'm telling them to go with option 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got at the bottom representations of dark energy, and you might say, Nate, what the heck is dark energy? Dark energy is basically what powers these power sources in your work sites for 1.5, and later on for phase 2, they will be buildings. And that those are the things that maintain your manifestations. So your cards are powered up and they summon these creatures or these manifestations, and the thing that keeps them going and working is these the power sources. But what powers the power source? Well, as you guys are already aware, the staking of dark energy crystals. So we haven't yet figured out. I'm asking the narrative team to help me figure out, hey, do we suck the dark energy out of the crystals and put it into the power source? Or do you take the crystals as whole, open up the power source, stick them in there, and then shut the thing? And like, how exactly does this thing work? And we're working it out. But either way, the visual representation of this dark energy, which is basically another way of saying, hey, how much DEC do you have staked to keep your creatures going? I'm going with number 4. That's the recommendation I gave to the art team. So that's something you have to look forward to, some of these graphics popping up in the UI that maybe you didn't see earlier with Farpetrad's demo, but that will be popping in on the test server as they get completed.
It's kind of like that plasma ball feel.
Yeah.
I could also see more than one of those graphics be used, right? Because if I don't power my land enough, maybe at a certain percentage, it only looks like a 2. And then if I do a little bit more, it looks like a 1. If I get most of the way there, it looks like a 3. And if I'm actually fully powering all my land, it looks like a 4. So that like it scales with how much I'm doing.
Oh, for sure.
Thought. I don't mean to inject myself in the art, but all of those look pretty awesome. And I agree with you that 3 looks the best for research. There's other things that we could be doing with 1, 2, and 4, but that research, scribbling away on parchment looks awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the idea there was, what does research mean? Does it mean you're running off and you're investigating somehow? Are you digging in the ground like an excavation site and you're finding tablets with runes? Are you like using magic to decipher how there's magic infused in this bush over here or this tree? Or like, what exactly, what are you doing? So we said, well, over time, we may want to introduce all kinds of different types of research. Yes. But at the end of the day, you're going to want to document it somewhere. You're going to want to log it and write it down. And so that's where we thought, yeah, scroll makes sense. Write it down. No matter what kind of research you're conducting, it's going to probably be written down so that it could be shared. And, and that's kind of what we're going with.
Yeah, I mean, as a published scientist, I know at some point I'm going to want to be published in the annals of Praetorian research, or the journal of dark energy research, and to see how much science I've been able to contribute. All right, Nate, thanks so much for showing these. These things look awesome. Even if they end up being these small little bits throughout the game, just that's the kind of stuff that's going to add so much flavor to what we're doing. So thank you to you and the team. Thanks for sharing some of these, and excited to see what else we can do.
No problem.
Let's open it up to all these questions. I know I'm running late, guys, but I assume that you'll forgive me if I answer your questions. So I'm going to go through the questions. Hopefully somebody can update the audience that, oh, she already did. Reality, you're the best. All right. So Land, how will base production power multiplier of a set edition change when a new set is introduced? So I asked Matt that on a town hall earlier, and he said, look, the next one of these isn't for many months, if not almost like an entire year. So with that said, let's punt on this and not give a specific answer because we don't know what it's going to look like later. On the Mav server, when land is in beta, how will plots, tracked regions be allocated? Could it happen that those who get in early claim all the regions? Well, people have already been claiming. Oh, you just mean on the Mav server. Well, first off, I think he was saying that the Mav server is going to reset a few times. So that might not be the end of the world. But no, you'll be able to claim some regions, and I don't think that they gave all the Mavs enough to necessarily claim everything. But if they do, then we'll go reset it, and other people can participate. Will power sources purchased in the bibs? I forget what. Oh, building in a box be permanently locked to the plots? Yes, they will. So you can. I think the power sources aren't NFTs either. They're like linked to the actual plot of land, so you can't transfer them, other than transferring the land itself. For working land, can we put multiple of the same card on one plot of land? I believe that you can. I guess I should confirm that. I think I did confirm that with Matt. But yeah, you should be able to use more than one of the same. Will we be able to use Gladiator and Soulbound cards on land? I believe the answer to that is yes as well. Will the building in a box never expire? Will building in a box be useful after phase 2 in the event a player is not able to populate all plots in time for phase 2? Yeah, I mean, when phase 2 is around, it's soulbound to the cards. So when you're ready to build your first building, it'll be there, and it will also have the power source in there. And isn't grain in the building in a box now too? Yeah, that's where that lives. So you'll get all those sweet upgrades should you purchase that. Can you walk through the impact of terrain type boost on worker production, for example, on net grain production and on clearing the land? Terrain type boost on worker production. So if you basically have 3 things, you have it either hurts you, is neutral to you, or it helps you. So if you're doing like a water and fire mix, those 2 things usually don't go well together. So you'll get a negative to your production. So if you start putting fire monsters on water, that's bad for you, and that the production power of that specific monster will be lessened, and that'll be the kind of like base amount of the monster. So then when you multiply it by a Rooney or a totem or a title or any other buff, you're gonna get all these net effects that are like muted because of it or nerfed because of it. However, if you find if you just put like a neutral monster on it, it won't have any buffs or any nerfs. It's just the neutral card can go on anything. And then lastly, if you go on to if you find a monster that is helpful, most of them will have a 10% boost. So if you have like a max level common that would normally give you 1,000 production points per hour, now it's going to give you 1,100, and that's like your base to start from. So then when you start getting Rooney and other things on there, you're not just multiplying by 1,000, you're multiplying by 1,100. All right. Did I read it correctly in the white paper that if I have a Rooney on my plot of land, I do not have to stake 10,000 DEC per monster? That is a yes. So having a Rooney means I can save up to 60,000 stake DEC per plot. That is also no. Well, the Roonies don't need it, so you can think of it like 60,000. It's going to be 50,000. But if you have the power core in addition to the Rooney, then it can be up to 60,000. If your plot shows a forest on the map, does that mean you will get a jungle plot and vice versa? If there is no forest in your area, is there no chance of a jungle? So as we were discussing with Farpetrad earlier, each tract is going to have sort of like a main characteristic. The main characteristic gives you an 85% chance of being that type, which means that there's 15 plots per tract that are going to be these other types, the other terrain types. So you can get other stuff. It's just not as likely as you getting, if your main type is tundra, as we saw today, the most likely thing that you'll have is a whole bunch of tundra. Also with Matt's recent announcement with the location of the forest on the map change, as well with the updated territory. I don't think that the borders changed the terrain types. I think it just changed what regions are located where. With land testing starting tomorrow, will there be any way for non-Mavs with a significant stake in land to participate? The level of involvement that is possible in the Splinterlands ecosystem has long surpassed the purely pack-based Mav status. We're getting to the point where that's probably true. Not tomorrow, but that has been on my brain to sort of make like a landholder channel, and with surveying happening, it's probably about time to do that. So I'll get to work on that. The answer for you right now is no, but I'll try to make that happen. Can we get an update on how the Nifty Arcade 500,000 Chaos Legion packs onboarding project is going? Well, they're currently onboarding. One of the projects is IndieGG. IndieGG has like 600,000 people in it. And so that onboarding project is ongoing. I know that there's a couple others. I can't I can't remember all the names of the different guilds, but they're currently onboarding like 4 or 5 different guilds. So I'll try to get Tyler back on so he can go tell us all the cool stuff. Tower Defense. Tower Defense has been fun to play. Can you give us an update regarding timeline for this project? And if there are any new things not mentioned, you can share. We're waiting on some art and some other things so that we can get card trading up and pack opening up. That's probably the next step there. I thought that was going to. Oh, and David is booked for next week. So I almost forgot about that. But David's going to come on, and let's punt all the like when this, when that for Tower Defense until David, who's CEO and leader of Double Coconut, which is a company that's actually developing that, can go answer that question. Energy. Is there anything that can be done regarding draws? With the new energy system, it feels even worse getting a draw and consuming one energy crystal in that process. Yes, the best thing to do is to win your match rather than to have it come to a draw. So I'd suggest you do that. Would it be possible to not consume, get back an energy crystal instead? No, because you played the match. You know that if you had won, that wouldn't have been the problem. So level up your cards, do better, and kick more butt. How would you explain the energy refill being based on the best of the previous season current league reward chest to someone considering entering the game now? Yeah, anybody, I guess, Investigator, do you have an interest in answering that? It's the like, you're not just buying, you're like, it's based off of your current league or your current best league or something. I forget the exact details.
Basically your highest reward. So if you're coming in, you're not going to have like a previous season. So it's just going to be whatever league you're in. If you are getting like seasonal chests for diamond, then I believe your cost is going to be diamond.
Okay, so for purchasing additional energy, would you consider lowering the amount of DEC needed? 500 DEC for champ is currently worth 40 cents, but the chests aren't even worth an average of 40 cents each, and it usually takes multiple wins to earn a chest. I hate being limited to just 24 battles a day, but spending the DEC just doesn't seem worth it. It might not seem worth it now, but remember all those reward cards that you're getting are eventually going to be transferable. So, if we lower the price so that everybody can just play as many times as they want and do all the things, there's going to be an extraordinary amount of these reward cards printed. So, part of this is meant to limit the amount of reward cards that go into circulation too, which are going to have value. They just don't have a value associated with them right this second. So you got to be a little bit patient and, realize that what you're doing now is going to have impact later. And, it's going to be harder to do that later. And also if you 500 DEC might be worth 40 cents, but there's also deck B. So you can lower that by another 20 cents. So now it's only 32 cents. So I don't know the exact break-even point of an average chest. But there are rewards in there now that will have a future value. So you should consider that in your calculations. Can you merge card timers? What's that? Oh, I skipped the question. Would you consider adjusting the energy cost to be based on the current league instead of the best of the 3 previously mentioned? That's more up to like Matt and that team, but generally you don't want it to be part of the current league because that's exploitable. So you want it to be part of the highest league that somebody's been a part of. For purchasing additional, no, just did that one. Can you merge card timers with account energy to get one thing, energy per card and not per account? That would solve many issues, will be even simpler and give less played cards, more usage, and encourage players to hold more cards. So we have individual energy on the goals game. So that should hopefully be live in the like May, June timeframe. Let's go play that out, see how that goes, and then we consider if we want to export that to Splinterlands as well. There seems to be bots. There seems to be increasing cause of alarm towards bots now that they can, in fact, play better than even some of the most seasoned Splinterlands players. Not only that, but they can also be used in tournaments and brawls. What is the team planning to do about this? We've talked about this a lot. This is a platform where bots are allowed. If you want a game where there's no bots and none of them are allowed, There's lots of games that exist all over the world for that. But here, what we're trying to do is make it so that the bots don't have a ability to exploit the economy or do more than like a normal human. A normal human is competitive with all these bots, and there's a good player can beat bots. That's just how that works. So what's the team planning on doing about it? Allowing this market to develop around this, encourage players to have the best cards possible so that, a lot of the bots don't typically have like the best cards in the ecosystem. And certainly if you're operating multiple bots, it's hard to go get multiple decks that have like the max level cards of all the types that you might want. But that we are planning to do what we've always planned to do, which is allow bots in this ecosystem, and players are going to have to figure out how to beat them. I think the energy changes are actually really good against bots, because now, the bots used to play 200 matches, in a short period of time. And, you could farm rank that you couldn't do otherwise. And now that's harder to do, because they can really only play 24 matches unless they start paying more, which, they don't like pay Splinterlands, they pay the community because they're burning DEC. Suggestions, feedback. Can we relook at focuses? Some are terribly underserviced compared to others, particularly armor, anti-melee, and disable. We also have several new abilities now that are not included. Thanks. Nate, do you have thoughts on how focuses are going to get reworked in the future? Or maybe that's Weirdbeard or We Need Matt or something, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely think what they're suggesting is doable, meaning just take the existing way focus works and just add more to it, so that although there's already quite a deep, I mean, there's a lot of different focuses now, much more than there was before, when it was just, hey, play fire team or play a death team. It's like now you got all these other focuses as well, and adding to the list is, I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. I mean, we could definitely look at it. I know that in my head someday, I don't know if it'll ever happen, and I don't know if I will get enough backing to actually make it happen. But I would love to see us go ahead and unentangle daily focus away from ranked play. Like if I had my way, ranked way play would be PvP and focus would be PvE. And then if there is some sort of battle pass type integration, then it would exist in the daily focus part, not in the ranked play part. And I think the reason I like that idea so much is because we can kind of have our cake and eat it too. Like the last question was about bots, and like, I don't like fighting against someone who's not a human. Well, in PvE, who cares? Who cares? In fact, you'll be fighting against the system, not against another player, and you could have fun and maybe get some skins and some cosmetics out of it, and all these other ideas that we could do with daily focus. And what I like even more about this idea is the fact that we talked about a new player experience. To me, daily focus could be part of the new player experience, because what are those things trying to teach you? They're trying to encourage you to, okay, let's play fire today and just fire until you become an expert at fire. Or the next day might be, hey, let's figure out how to use these type of abilities. And you spend a whole day just optimizing teams and figuring out how to beat certain puzzles or challenges that the system is throwing at you. And by the end of the day, you've had this sense of accomplishment, like, yeah, I really know how to play those abilities. I didn't even know what those abilities were before, but now I do. And not only do I know them, I could play them like a pro. Like, I want that kind of experience. So, if the new player experience was, hey, novice is about taking you by the hand and teaching you about the basic mechanics, then I would love the daily focus to be about taking you from a amateurish player to eventually you do enough daily focuses, you start feeling like a pro. And if somehow we are able to do that and sculpt it that way, then I think that would kill a couple birds with one stone. Meaning, it would address the players, I don't know, hesitancy with fighting against bots and the sour taste that leaves in their mouth. To, hey, let's give them another form of gameplay that is slightly different. And they stop worrying about bots and they start worrying about like this other thing that they could be doing. And as a result of that, they actually get better at the cards so they could go back to ranked play and beat those bots, because now they really know how to play their cards.
Yeah, I was just
hold
going to
on.
add on to that. Sorry, go ahead.
I want you to add on, but we do a fair amount of the rewards to that focus system, don't we? It's like, isn't it like half the ranked reward pool is going towards focus points?
Yeah, I would rework the rewards a little bit. There's all kinds of little tweaks I would make to the system, which, you know, it's not going to happen overnight.
But I'm not saying that as a negative. It's like we could provide a fair amount of incentive to be doing the PvE experience, right? Like if just by moving the focus system to PvE, that suddenly opens up a whole lot of opportunity to play in there and just give people like a really different experience.
Yeah, I was just, that's all I wanted to add on to Nate, is saying, listen, a lot of problems get solved when you look at player experience, like just how they interact. Are they having fun? And why should they be doing these different things? I think making it so that, ranked is like the main gameplay. It's trying to like cater to a bunch of groups all at once, right? Of people. Some people just want to climb, some people want to perfect that, other people are playing because they just enjoy the abilities and the cards look fun. Like being able to have different game modes or different game experiences outside of just one size fits all type one is going to make a lot of people very pleased, I think.
Yeah, I'm dying.
I mean, I see a future where everything everyone's arguing about in Mouse Chat today about the game is going to be like, ranked play will just be this tiny sliver of the pie. I've said it before. I mean, I see a future where the Splinterlands ecosystem consists of a zillion different ways to spend your day. And the little ranked play that we're all arguing about today is just, it's like this one little thing out of many that you could do when you log into the game.
Okay, let's go open this up to total questions. And reality, we're gonna close it almost as soon as we open it, because I think we got to get out of here in about 8 minutes, because we don't have forever here. So Torin's asking on behalf of Rogue Patton, do we have an update on the Q1 promo from the company, and we can have any alpha on the mini set with the movie studio? So the details aren't set versus Chaos or Rebellion. There's still some questioning, and the team is working on that. It's not guaranteed that we do the mini set. I'm still leaning towards doing it, so that sometime this summer we would have these cards for sale, and that would mean that we would move Rebellion back by many months. I'm thinking like either November or December. So that we're not like flooding the market with cards, but we want to get some of this in there. Last week, Matt gave his blessing to move forward with the always on in-game notification system. Can you believe that I knew that freaking thing? I knew it. He said it would be easy to do, very helpful to players, and could likely be included in the last update. Any idea on what it might take to get this pushed through?
We already got it. We got it. Don't even worry about it.
All right. Is that like a tomorrow thing, or like a week from tomorrow, 2 weeks? Where do you see it on the roadmap?
It's not in this next sprint, but it's in the one after that. So within 4 weeks, we can be talking about this.
All right, sweet. An 85% chance for the same terrain seems kind of boring to me. Any flexibility on knocking that down to 50%? I thought it didn't matter where we claimed on the map. Now it seems like it does. Can you add the guarantee that 15% will be different if this can't be changed? That's a fascinating question, that if you do the opening and you do it all at once, like the 100 cards, can you guarantee that it's at least 15% or different? I think that would be good. It might feel boring to you, but the whole idea was like, we want there to be a lot of interactions between the different regions and the different tracks. We want it so that you can't solve all of your problems just by even having one whole freaking region. So that percent might seem a little high, but it's meant to force players to interact a ton. And I think when the game gets trading and all these things are happening, and you are min-maxing the crap out of your Tundra, you're going to be thankful for it, because you're going to be the Tundra Lord and the Sparkstone Lord. You two are going to have to be doing all this trading back and forth, and that's going to give a lot of value to the whole ecosystem. All All right. I think salty weird bearded raccoon dog promo when. I'm not sure that we're doing a salty weird bearded raccoon dog promo. Is grain in the building in a box, or was that a misspeak? No, it's in there. And will the overview maps on the Mav server be the same as the main release, or will it be different? For the test server, that's already based on the new map cuts, isn't it? Ron, could they hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, great. Okay, and then Daru asked 10 more questions, and these will be the last questions that I answer because we only have 5 minutes here. Adding to the energy being based on current league, easy to prevent exploit. If you limit the energy use to the league you purchased it at, could you consider it with that limitation? That basically turns energy into like an NFT, or like at least, even if it's soulbound or just it would turn it from one energy to like 6 different types. So it's not a bad idea. I don't think that's what it's going to be at launch, and given especially that it's already launched. But if that's something that the product team thinks is really important, then we can try to do that. Can we get a curb winning model for SPL winnings based on number of participations, winning value in dollars, if there is a plan to continue with similar thing in April? So I do think that we're going to continue doing stuff. I think the plan was to go sort of publish all the people that are winning.
So
that
we are publishing the people that are winning. At the end of March, I will give an updated list of all the winners, and what they won and how many times they won and all that stuff. As far as curbing the winning model, like I just don't want to do that. I really want to. I want you to not go, oh, I won today, and then just stop watching. Like I don't want that to happen. So
that's right.
It's not something that's in the like. Maybe if enough of the community tells me to do that, but just 1 or 2 people, no. It's not even under consideration right now.
Is the next promo card coming soon? We're hoping for April. So Weirdbeard is hopefully on that along with the enhancement team. Can the next promo card be like 1 voucher and 1 KSPL TV points or something in that vicinity? I don't know that we can claim Splinterlands TV points because they're not fungible like that. And I don't think it's going to be vouchers. This next one is actually going to be a like income to the business. So you're going to have to pay Splinterlands DEC as opposed to just burn vouchers like the last one. Can we get the Ruse on the Mav server? Streamer on SPL TV want to showcase it today and couldn't. I don't know. That seems like a really limited use case, and our time is better spent on things like getting land out. So if they can scope it. If it's really small, okay. If that's a lot of work, then I don't think that we should do it. Was that new rule set of all monsters with 1 HP on map server scrapped since Gladiator rule set is coming out first? Nate, do you know, or Weirdbeard?
Actually, no. That got pushed back because we wanted to do additional testing, which we did not have time to do additional testing with all the other stuff going out. But hopefully that will be out soon.
Sweet. When will Rooney normal rentals arrive? Now more pressing due to land benefits. Do we know?
I don't think that we've scoped out when that would happen yet, but it's definitely like on the radar of things to get into. I think at the next, maybe not this quarter, but next one.
Okay. Can we have an eligible filter for tournament lists? Annoying to have to open multiple individual tournaments to check requirements.
So there is an eligible one that's there, but the only issue is that you may have to pay a higher entry fee to enter into certain ones that you are technically eligible for.
And then will the building in a box be a filter on the land market? It is critical if one wants to buy land to know if it has one.
We are putting the boosts on the deed so it's visible. So from that respect, I'm saying this, that it would be, I don't know, it'd be hard to justify making a filter for a very temporary sale of a boost that may or may not be purchasable again in the future. And it's temporary. I mean, it runs out, like it expires. So it's, I mean, we could consider it, or maybe in one of the drop downs at some point, but at least for now, the solution is, hey, if you go into grid view and you're viewing all of these things, then it's very easy to identify by the little graphic on there which ones have an active building in a box booster and which ones do not.
And it appears that I misspoke. I said that the grain was going to be in the building in a box, but it's not. It's going to be in the time crystal one. Sorry to all the people that I inadvertently lied to. Okay. And we have made it through questions. So thanks, everybody. It is 6:30. I know people have to go. Oh, crap. So it's possible to get a keeper castle if you open up a single or few plots at a time, only if that track region is not claimable all at once. So it looks like Farpetrad is answering questions in here, so I'll let Farpetrad answer that. But that's what I have. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for running late with me. I'm sorry that I allowed this to drag on extra long, but I really wanted to give time to Wasder. I think that's a giant promotion, given that they have 500,000 monthly active users. I wanted to give time to land because that's kind of the next major advancement for Splinterlands and where we're all going to be staking and playing and growing our empire, building cards. Next, we're going to have next week, we're going to get Dave from Double Coconut. We're going to be talking about all things Soul Keep. So, there's a lot of things happening here, and in the not too distant future, I think we will get a little arcade of our own, where we can host multiple games simultaneously and use something like Unity to go bring these things on board, so that the types of games that you're able to play here as part of this ecosystem is nearly unlimited. So really excited for that. I just think that there's so much coming here. So don't be sleeping on Splinterlands. Grab your DEC, grab your SPS, grab your Rooney, get land plots, make sure you have enough monsters. You just can't get enough. And to make sure you have enough, make sure that you're out there pushing and shoving. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thanks for staying on a little extra with us tonight for the folks that are on the call, and just incredible work to all the people that are doing this. Thanks for your passion, creativity, and making this game awesome. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
Chaos reigns and hope is lost. When your darkest days aren't saved by the dawn, we bring the light to help guide the way. We are with you.